tonight on Unsolved Mysteries.
A 14-year-old girl awakens, hog-tied in her own bedroom, with her entire home viciously ransacked. She tells police she has no memory of an attack or even of her own identity. What happened to Sarah Powell? For Harvey Mcleod, life as a cab driver was routine and uneventful, until the day he was hijacked by one of his fares, turned into a human time bomb, and ordered to rob a bank. And we'll take you to Egypt, an ancient land of mystery and intrigue. For centuries, the immense treasures of the pharaohs lay buried in the Valley of the Kings. But when the tomb of King Tut was opened in 1922, was a deadly curse unleashed on those who trespassed upon his grave. Join me for this intriguing and compelling edition of Unsolved Mysteries. Egypt, the cradle of long-lost civilizations, home to the magnificent pyramids, the inscrutable Great Sphinx, giant statues of once powerful pharaohs. Truly a land of intrigue and mystery. Buried beneath the shifting sands in the Valley of the Kings lay secrets. The hidden tombs of ancient rulers, their bodies mummified and surrounded by the golden treasures meant to accompany them to the afterlife. Treasures that have proven irresistible. By the end of the 19th century, nearly every tomb in the Valley of the Kings had been picked clean, the riches carried away by both archaeologists and thieves. Nevertheless, Howard Carter, a self-taught British Egyptologist, was sure there was one more tomb, that of a little-known pharaoh named Tutankhamun. He had no idea the discovery of King Tut's final resting place would unleash one of the most sensational legends of the 20th century, the legend of the mummy's curse. By the fall of 1922, Howard Carter had been searching for the tomb of King Tutankhamun for 5 years. His financial backer was George Herbert, the 5th Earl of Carnarvon, an avid amateur archaeologist. Lord Carnarvon had already spent the modern equivalent of $500,000 and was about to give up. Carter begged him to give it one last chance.
You and the workers are digging furiously.
Carnarvon, a longtime devotee of the occult, sought the advice of a noted psychic.
Concourse, who are deeply disturbed. I see a hurricane of lightning, and you, Lord Carnarvon, are standing alone. Given what I have seen, I suggest you make your excuses to the public and cancel the dig.
But that's impossible. I must.
Despite the warning, the dig continued with spectacular results. On November 26, 1922, Howard Carter, Lord Carnarvon, and Lady Evelyn Herbert, Carnarvon's daughter, descended an excavated staircase and stepped into history. They came to a doorway sealed by the priests of the dead, long before Christ was born or Rome was built.
The first thing is this unbelievable feeling of smelling and feeling. In a whoosh, out comes this air of what? How many thousands of years, right? And then he puts up the light.
Can you see anything?
My God, marvelous.
Well, let me have a look. Move over, move over.
Who could possibly describe what he sees? You know, this helter-skelter, gold, 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 gold.
Fantastic.
And one after the other look in, and everybody's trying, and there's no longer your lordship, and, you know, let me have a look, I paid for this, you know, and get me in there. And then, of course, They go in. They went, it's probably bananas. They're suddenly in a place where the last person had been in there was 3,600 whatever years before, right? And spooky things went on. They began to feel, I mean, they were no different than thieves.
It was the ultimate treasure trove, a jumble of King Tut's favorite and most precious possessions. The toys he had played with as a baby, the throne he had ruled from as a king, the golden jars that held his heart and lungs.
Such fine workmanship.
The Egyptians literally believed you could take it with you. Since the next world was going to be a continuation of this world, you would want your possessions. You would want a bed. You would want your utensils. You would want your game boards so that you could play your games that you enjoyed. So the priests, upon death, and your family would prepare, it would be a group activity, would put whatever they thought you would need for the big journey.
Word of the incredible find flew around the world. Crowds watched in astonishment as Howard Carter brought each prize into the light. Dignitaries and reporters from dozens of countries converged on the Valley of the Kings, hungry for every detail. Carter and Carnarvon became household names, international celebrities. Then slowly, a shadow began to eclipse their limelight. It began with Howard Carter's pet bird. In the days after the tomb was opened, a cobra, the royal symbol of the pharaohs, attacked and killed the bird. To some, the meaning was clear. The king's serpent had struck a blow of vengeance against the man who had desecrated Tutankhamun's grave. The natives said before winter was out, someone would die. That someone was Lord Carnarvon. 5 months after the opening of the tomb, Carnarvon died of blood poisoning in Cairo. Legend has it that at that very moment in England, Carnarvon's dog howled in anguish and fell dead. In Cairo, all the lights went out, plunging the city into blackness as dark as the tomb of Tutankhamun. Then a newspaper broke word of a curse written in hieroglyphs in King Tut's tomb. They who enter this sacred tomb shall swift be visited by wings of death.
They didn't have a concept of hell, so you didn't go to a bad place if you died. But if you went out of existence, that was the worst thing that could happen. And that's why the tomb was so crucial, to assure that you wouldn't go out of existence, that all the necessary parts would be there intact, ready to go again in the next world.
And this is why we see sometimes what we call the curse inscriptions. I discovered here at Giza a tomb with the first curse inscription ever happened. And listen what the man is saying in this tomb. If anyone will disturb my tomb, he will be eaten by crocodile, lion, and the hippo. His wife lifted the same inscription, and she added more, and the scorpions and the snakes will eat you.
Fear of the mummy's curse created a panic. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, fueled the hysteria when he stated it was probable that Lord Carnarvon had been killed by a malevolent spirit. Hundreds of tourists who had bought Egyptian antiquities as souvenirs rushed to ship them back, including in one case a mummy's severed arm. The United States Congress even debated passing a law banning Egyptian antiquities from American museums. Nevertheless, Howard Carter continued clearing out the tomb of Tutankhamun, one exquisite piece after another. Even the boy king's mummified body was carried out, his wrappings removed, his bones laid bare. Some say King Tut took his revenge. Carnarvon's death was only the beginning. Over the next 2 decades, the mummy's curse was blamed for more than 20 deaths, including that of Howard Carter himself. Most Egyptologists, however, don't buy it.
This whole curse thing is total bunkum. Lord Carnarvon gets this infection, he goes to the hospital, he dies. All the lights go out in Cairo. Now today, in your modern hotels, there's a candle in every bathroom. The lights go out in Cairo all the time, sporadically, right? And the fact that the dog howls at the moment, you know, distant in England of the death, give me a break.
Historians scoff, but the legend of the mummy's curse refuses to go away. Believe it or not, modern science has revealed that, in fact, the curse may be real, though not supernatural. In his diary, Howard Carter noted that the tomb walls were covered with an odd pink film, perhaps a fungus. Though the ancient Egyptians probably didn't know it, their sealed tombs may have harbored a variety of bacteria and fungi, toxic killers more deadly than any curse. History records its circumstances made Lord Carnarvon the perfect target for these mysterious mycotoxins. Not long after the tomb was opened, Carnarvon was bitten by a mosquito. The bite became infected, perhaps by the mycotoxins. When Carnarvon nicked himself shaving, the infection became worse. Carnarvon's fate was sealed.
This is why I advise my assistants in my excavations. I tell them, do not shave while we are excavating. Because if you shave, you have an open, your beard is ready to take any germ. And this is what happened, in my opinion, to most of the cases that's happened during the excavations, and people said the curse of the pharaohs.
The treasures of Tutankhamun have been exhibited and studied all over the world. To say Egypt is to think King Tut. If the Egyptians did in fact place a curse on their tombs, perhaps they were wrong in doing so. For King Tut, at least, being discovered may have been the greatest possible blessing, a guarantee of eternal life.
The Egyptians had a phrase, to say the name of the dead is to make him live again. And through the discovery of his tomb, he is the most famous of all pharaohs, and everybody is saying his name. So in a sense, the discovery by Carter and Carnarvon assures Tutankhamun's immortality, even in the Egyptian sense, in the ancient Egyptian sense of to say his name is to make him live again.
Coming up, when her home is ransacked by intruders, a young girl is stricken by a bizarre case of amnesia. But first, a cab driver is wired with explosives and forced to participate in a wild robbery scheme. "65-year-old Harvey Mcleod has been driving a cab in Modesto, California for some 10 years. He's seen just about everything there is to see. So last January, Harvey wasn't the least bit surprised when a man in a turban with a phony-looking beard and mustache flagged him down.
It was just a normal fare. He did have a turban, but we have several of those in Modesto, so I never thought anything about it.
Going up to Jamestown.
Hey, that's a 50-minute ride. That'll run you $90. I'll have to get that up front.
The passenger spoke in a coarse stage whisper. He only had about half the fare, but he said he could pick up the rest at his brother's house, which was along the way.
I have to stop by my brother's place and pick up the rest.
Stop by your brother's house, all right.
Just keep driving east. Take a left right up here.
Lit road?
That's right.
He said his brother lived on the Lit Road, so I didn't think too much about it until he told me to stop after a couple of blocks. And so I stopped the car and turned around, and here that gun was staring me right in the nose.
Do exactly what I tell you. Cut the wires to the radio transmitter and get out that door.
So I just basically thought it was a robbery.
But this was no ordinary robbery. Harvey Mcleod was about to be turned into a human time bomb. The gunman chained a black metal box with a numeric keypad onto Harvey's body. He ran a wire lead around Harvey's neck and clipped it shut. Then he activated the black box.
You do exactly what I say, and you'll be all right. You screw up at all, you'll die. And the bomb is remote controlled. All I have to do is dial a number on my cell phone. You're gone.
I was terrified. Well, mine was going 100 miles an hour, and I was trying to figure out how am I going to get out of this.
10 minutes later, Harvey was on his way back to Modesto.
You're gonna rob a bank. I want you to listen to me very carefully. The second bomb in this box. I want you to take this briefcase and the bomb into the bank. I want you to leave the bomb in the bank when you're done. You understand me?
Yep.
The gunman got out of the cab across the street from his intended target, the Glendale Federal Bank.
Well, he kept reminding me that he could set this bomb off by his cellular telephone. And me, I don't know that much about electronics, but what you see, you know, in the papers and TV, you can do about anything with electronics nowadays, so I believed him.
I need to see the bank manager.
Sorry, sir, she's unavailable. Just have a seat.
I need to see the bank manager now. It's important.
Sir, excuse me. Please, just have a seat.
I need to see the manager. It cannot wait.
I understand that, of course.
Is there a problem?
I need to see the manager. Are you the manager?
I am. May I help you?
And I thought I was dealing with an irate customer because he was agitated. I proceeded to read the letter, and about midway through, it shocked me and it upset me.
Did you read this?
Look what he did to me. I'm just a poor cab driver.
I looked around the lobby, saw how busy we were, saw how many customers were in the bank, and saw my staff just doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it was very scary that if I didn't do the right thing, that all of us could be blown up as a result of that.
Denise Hutchison decided to comply with the gunman's orders. She and another bank employee filled the briefcase with the exact amount of money demanded in the letter.
10.
The robbery had gone according to plan, with one exception. Harvey performed a quiet act of heroism.
And I didn't want to see innocent people get killed. Well, I couldn't do much about me, but I could at least take the bomb with me and to protect the other people in the bank and the bank itself, too. So I walked out the door with it.
In the back of the cab, Harvey found a neatly typed set of instructions. First, he drove to a hardware store 15 minutes away. He parked the cab, leaving behind the cash and the car keys. Then Harvey walked half a mile to a payphone.
I was terrified because the note on the instruction was that don't try to flag down an officer or anything because we've got people watching you all the time. You know, every step you make, we've got people watching you.
The instructions had specified that the gunman would phone with directions for dismantling the bomb.
And I waited about 5-10 minutes and no call came in, so I went over and happened to look at the telephone and it said no incoming calls. So then I knew something was up. So then that's when I called my dispatcher and told her what happened.
Within minutes, the police were on the scene and the area was being evacuated. Harvey Mcleod sat alone in the eye of the storm.
And they say I looked calm, but I wasn't very calm inside. I was shaking, and my stomach was rolling, and I had all these things going through my mind, and I just wondered how long that I was going to be there in this old world.
Eventually, a county bomb squad arrived and released Harvey from the device. X-rays later determined that it was a fake, as was the second bomb.
There's a package back here. Let's get this ripped off.
The robbery had been perfectly executed. The gunman got away undetected. Almost.
When the gunman was dropped off across the street from the bank, there were two witnesses that observed a male adult that was unusually dressed. They thought at first that since there was a bank in close proximity that possibly someone was having a birthday party, and they hired this person to do some type of gig for them inside of the bank. And the secondary thought that the male witness had was maybe this person had just robbed a bank. When this person reached the van, he took off a turban, as well as dark sunglasses and a fake beard and mustache, as well as his sweater, which contained padding to make this person look 25 to 30 pounds heavier.
Next, a teenage girl is found hogtied and hysterical in her bedroom, the apparent victim of a horrifying home invasion. But the police wonder how much is truth and how much is fiction. November 16th, 1993. A middle-class home in Clear Lake, Texas, a suburb of Houston. Approximately 9:30 a.m.
I remember this little dog was licking my face, and that's what woke me up. I tried to move, and I realized that I was tied up. I had no recollection of who I was or why I was tied up. I tried to remember things, but as soon as I started asking myself who I was and what I was doing there, it upset me more. I grabbed the phone cord with my teeth and pulled it off the bed, and that knocked the phone off the hook. And then I thought, who am I gonna call? I don't know anybody. I don't even know where I'm at. And then I looked down and I saw that there's a redial button.
Hello? I need some help.
When she hit the redial button with her tongue, the girl reached the local post office. One of the employees was a woman named Deborah Powell.
They had a child on the phone. The child said that everything in the room was pink and there were teddy bears everywhere. And I knew at that point that there was no doubt in my mind it was Sarah.
Sarah was Deborah's 14-year-old daughter. She had stayed home sick from school. By the time Deborah got to her house, police were already on the scene.
What's going on? Is she all right?
We don't know. We haven't gotten into the house yet.
Sarah!
When we went into the house and I saw it was ransacked, I knew she was in big trouble. I was scared. I was frightened. I didn't know what I was going to find.
Ma'am.
Sarah!
Sarah, honey, it's Mommy. What's wrong, honey? It's Mommy.
Don't hurt me.
Sarah, it's Mommy. It's Mommy.
Don't hurt me. I don't know you. Don't hurt me.
No,
I didn't know what to think, what to do. The more I tried to go toward her and help her, she began to panic.
Get out of the room. I'll take care of her. Calm her down.
Sarah, honey, I'm gonna be right here.
It's all right, Sarah. I'm a policeman. Just let me get you out of this. Just take a minute or two. You know where you are?
No, I don't. Where am I?
You're at home and you're safe now. Can you give me a description of the people who did this to you? Were they friends of yours?
I don't know.
Can't remember anything?
No.
My first impression was she was a teenager that was up to something and probably did not want her parents to find out what had happened that day.
The police had good reason to be suspicious. Crime scene experts combed every inch of the house, but found no evidence of forced entry and no fingerprints.
Get the couch here.
Most puzzling of all, it was a rainy day, and there was not a single wet or muddy footprint.
anything. And we later learned that nothing was taken. So these sort of things make us think that she's going to be able to tell us what went on, and she will know who it is, and we'll solve this as soon as Sarah's ready to deal with it.
What about before you were tied up? Do you remember anything that happened earlier?
No.
Sarah, did you get yourself into some trouble here? Is that why you're afraid to say anything to me?
I can't remember anything that happened. I just know that I woke up all tied up.
I could tell that they thought I was holding something back. I was trying as hard as I could. They would show me pictures and ask me if I remembered my parents, and I couldn't remember anything.
My first impression was that she perhaps had been threatened, and she was afraid to say anything. We had always been very close, and I felt assured that when the police left, that this child was going to tell me what really happened.
However, even after the police left, Sarah's story did not change.
I even tried to trick Sarah to prove that she really could remember. And after 3 days of watching her, a mother knows her child, her movements, her characteristics, everything about her. After 3 days, I knew something was wrong.
How about this, your first portrait? You remember that green dress?
No.
Deborah and her other daughter, Helen, tried to jog Sarah's memory with family photos.
That's you and me in front of the house.
That's me. And you?
Mm-hmm. It was after church. We changed clothes and we were gardening.
I was extremely hurt that my child didn't remember me and didn't connect with me, and I tried very hard not to take it personally.
Good night, Sarah. You know, honey, it's okay if you don't feel like hugging me.
You're obviously my mother. You have all my baby stuff. I mean, you've got to be my mother. But I have no feelings for you.
It was like someone kidnapped my child. Her body was there, but she was not. Her mind was not there.
I want you to write Sarah Powell for me. I'll spell it for you. S-A-R-A-H.
At first, Sarah couldn't remember how to write her name, tie her shoes, or even brush her teeth. After 2 months, however, she had relearned most basic skills. Sarah's school agreed to help set up a home study program.
You know, if we have any trouble with the math, what I don't know, Helen can help you with. Sarah, honey, what is it? Sarah! Sarah, honey, what is it? Sarah, what is it?
I need some help! Somebody help!
I was scared to death. I didn't know what was happening. I thought, what in the world? This looks like a seizure.
Go get the school nurse. Would you help me hold her down? Just hold her arm.
Sarah, honey, what is it? It's okay. It's okay.
I didn't let them in. I didn't let them in.
And the only words out of her mouth was, I didn't let him in. And I remember thinking, maybe this is the memory coming back, but I couldn't be sure.
In fact, the memories had returned in a terrifying rush. It was 8:30 on the morning of the attack. Sarah had just taken her medicine and put her dog in the laundry room.
I remembered walking up the stairs when I heard a loud noise. So I started running up the stairs and I heard a second loud boom. I had rounded the corner and I could see straight into my room. And that's when I saw people trying to break in the window. I saw the phone sitting on my bed, so I just dove onto my bed and called my mom at work.
The front door was locked with a double deadbolt, and Sarah couldn't find her keys. Then suddenly, it was quiet.
I started sneaking up the stairs and stood up slowly, and I looked in my room and nobody was there.
Shut up! Okay, go downstairs and get the job done.
He just pushed my head down on the bed and put a pillow on my head. I believe he was trying to kill me.
That's enough. This ain't funny. Shut up, all right?
I was at the point where I just couldn't hold my breath anymore. So I just went limp and pretended like I was either passed out or dead. And when he realized that I had seen them, he got mad.
You just had to get a look, didn't you? What are you doing?
And that's the last thing I remembered. I remember passing out. And that's what I remembered in my first seizure. And I thought that was all at the time, but it turned out that it wasn't.
I was angry, I was shocked. I couldn't believe that she had suffered such an ordeal. And I had no idea at that time that I hadn't even heard the worst of it.
Those memories broke through during a second flashback.
I remembered waking up and nobody was in the room except for the smaller guy.
Why are you doing this to me?
Look, you just gotta be quiet, okay? I'm gonna tie you up, but you'll be all right.
The bigger guy, that's when he walked in and saw us talking.
Oh, we're friends now.
You're not gonna get that gun.
The bigger guy, he had the gun.
If we're such good friends now, I'm sure you're gonna love this.
He had it to my head.
Shut up! Shut up! Calm down! Shut up, I know what I'm doing. You tie her up. You do a good job, because I'll be back to check on it.
I know that they were downstairs ransacking the house because I could hear things fall into the floor. And I knew that they were girls because they were talking to each other. The smaller guy unraveled the phone cord once and plugged the phone back in and set it on the bed. I think he felt sorry for me.
Sarah was literally in a life-threatening situation, and then two things happened that probably insulted her brain. One was that she got hit in the head, and the other one was that she was suffocated. So that the combination of terror and a psychological amnesia component, and then the physical insults, I think, combined to result in this unique amnesia presentation.
We're all here for you. We're all here and we're not going to leave.
To date, Sarah has had 9 apparent seizures, including this one documented on videotape at her grandparents' house. With each episode, she appeared to recover more shards of her shattered memory.
Sarah, we're all here for you.
Can you describe those people to me?
The police, however, were still skeptical. They put Sarah under hypnosis to see if her story would hold up.
There's a big guy with muscles.
She told the same story that she had always told. And at that time, the hypnotist told me, in his opinion, she was being truthful.
But the police are still not sure. Too many questions remain. Who were the intruders? Why did they ransack the house yet steal nothing? Why did they leave no evidence behind, not even a fingerprint or a footprint? And finally, does Sarah have any of the crucial answers?
We're not saying that she's being untruthful. We're saying we believe that she believes she's telling the truth, but we're searching for more facts. We want to verify details, and we want to see if she's still repressing something.
I believe that I've remembered the attack accurately. I don't think there's anything else to remember. It's always possible, but I really feel like everything is here, and I'm ready to maybe see if I can get some answers and find out why this all happened.
Over the last 3 years, Sarah has gradually recovered the precious memories that connect her to her family. Once again, Sarah knows and loves her mother, her father, and her sister, but she will never be the same.
I think I'm completely recovered, but there are still a few things, just like having nightmares. I still have nightmares, and you know, there's a few things like that. But I think I'm to where I can at least handle it now.
Based on Sarah's description, a police sketch artist created a composite of the taller male intruder as he might appear without the stocking mask. As Sarah remembers, he was Caucasian, approximately 5 feet 10 inches tall and very muscular. He had a tattoo of a cobra inked in blue on his right bicep or shoulder. In a moment, the sabotage of an Amtrak passenger train last October evokes haunting memories of a similar tragedy that occurred nearly 60 years ago. October 9th, 1995. By now, the disturbing images are familiar. Twisted wreckage of Amtrak's Sunset Limited passenger train strewn across the Arizona desert. The train had jumped the track 60 miles southwest of Phoenix. 4 cars plunged more than 30 feet off a trestle into a dry riverbed. 1 person was killed. Scores were injured. The cause of the tragedy? Sabotage.
When we arrived at the scene, it was apparent that someone had tampered with the rails. The investigation determined that 29 spikes were removed, purposely removed. And not only were the spikes removed, but someone had pushed the rail inside so that the 2 rails were not connected.
The tampering was simple but deadly. In a typical section of track, the rails are connected at a joint. With the spikes removed, 1 rail was shifted a mere 4 inches, just enough to cause the crash. Another piece of evidence convinced authorities that the saboteur or saboteurs had a working knowledge of railroads. Despite the break in the rails, the signal circuits, electrical wires that run through the track, remained intact. Consequently, the train crew had no warning.
The FBI believes that they picked that particular spot in order to create the most damage and possibly the most injuries or death. The train was going about 50 miles an hour. It's on a curve, and it occurred right before a trestle.
Who derailed the Sunset Limited? Was it a violent political statement by domestic terrorists, or an isolated act of revenge by a disgruntled railroad employee? Investigators soon discovered frightening parallels to another act of sabotage more than a half-century ago. In 1939, 24 people were killed and 117 injured in a suspicious train wreck in the Nevada desert.
The most mysterious connection between both accidents, the 1939 wreck and the Sunset Limited wreck of last year, is the fact that the sabotage was done ahead of a bridge in a desert country, a remote location. There was definitely care in advance, that the wires were intact at all times. Merely moving 1 piece of metal, in this case 1 rail, a matter of less than 4 inches, allowed both trains to careen off on the curve as they crossed the river, and the damage occurred.
Curiously, the 1939 crash had been profiled in a journal for railroad buffs shortly before the Amtrak accident. The author, John Signor, rejects the notion that his article may have inspired the would-be saboteur.
I see absolutely no connection. There My magazine was released only the week of the derailment. It was still being distributed. I didn't even receive mine until 5 days after the derailment in the mail. There's been a whole book published on it. There's been numerous articles on that over the years. It's widely known.
The Railroad Journal has a short subscriber list. Federal authorities have questioned many of the readers and come up empty-handed, leaving investigators with just one other concrete clue. In the immediate vicinity of the accident site, FBI agents found 4 copies of a computer-written diatribe against the United States government. It was signed, Sons of the Gestapo.
We have not been able to determine the existence of such a group, but we're still trying to investigate to determine whether or not that is a red herring to try to throw us off the investigation, or whether or not that particular group exists.
The note was entitled Indictment of the ATF and the FBI and seemed to espouse an extreme right-wing viewpoint. It denounced the federal sieges at Waco, Texas and Ruby Ridge, Idaho. It also posed the question, who is policing the ATF, FBI, state troopers, county sheriffs, and local police? But the note's specific reference to the shooting of a police officer's wife who, quote, knows too much about drug kickbacks, may ultimately hold the key to the author's identity.
Based upon that particular statement, if we can pinpoint that police officer or that police department, that might give us an investigative lead to help us solve this sabotage in Arizona. People have to feel safe when they take public transportation. And it's important to solve this case so that we can show the motive behind this particular sabotage, that this person is going to jail as a result of this sabotage for an extremely long time, and that'll send a message to anybody who might think about committing sabotage in our rail system.
The one person killed in the crash of the Sunset Limited was a sleeping car attendant named Mitchell Bates. Because of his death, the individual or individuals responsible will be charged with murder as well as sabotage. Join me next Friday for the dramatic season finale of Unsolved Mysteries.